Let's talk a little bit about the European Union. As far as my memory doesn't trick me, the European Union found it very, very important when Turkey had been preparing for the talks about becoming a member, that Turkey should reform its penal code, should reform its constitution and laws and many other things. And the EU found very, very important to eliminate from among a paragraph which considers marital infidelity, so to say, a crime, and didn't put enough stress on paragraph 301. Now, after this scandalous assassination in Istanbul last Friday, do you think anything is going to be changed?
Well, first of all assassinations are scandalous. I think the problem here, you see, is that the European Union has various faces that it turns towards Turkey. On the one hand, it has to deal with Turkey's request to join the European Union. Is Turkey a European state or not? On the other hand, a number of European nations, including Great Britain, have very strong economic links with Turkey, which they don't want to damage, which is the reason, though he doesn't say so, why British Prime Minister Tony Blair deliberately, originally, tried to exclude the Armenians from Holocaust Day, the British Holocaust Day, when they look back on the victims of genocide. He clearly wanted to keep Turkish-British economic relations, and it was more important to do that than to remember the murder of 1.5 million Armenian Christians. And as long as the European Union plays around with this issue, either pandering to its large Armenian economic community, as France has done, for example, that's why France has a potential law saying it will be illegal to deny the Armenian genocide, and other countries don't. I noticed the other day that Merkel, the leader of Germany, wants to make denial of the Jewish Holocaust illegal, but she didn't mention the Armenian Holocaust. I'm against making all these things illegal. I think it just gives fuel to the right wing. But the Europeans, unfortunately, are very two-faced about their policy towards the Armenian genocide and towards history, as well as being very weak on foreign policy. That's why, at the end of the day, we needed the Americans to save Bosnia, not the European Union. But there's a good deal of hypocrisy in this, as you have rightly, obviously, spotted.
This morning I was watching some pictures of the funeral itself, and it was really tremendous from the sense that
I saw it too, yes.
Istanbul streets were really full of people with transparents, even masks, and so on. More than 100,000 people went out. What do you think about the funeral itself? I had the feeling that it is a little bit over-organized. Am I wrong?
Well, I wasn't at the funeral, and I can't answer your question. What I will say is that in a cosmopolitan, educated population like the people of Istanbul, I wasn't surprised, though I was still impressed, by the large number of people who went to the funeral service. But do their views reflect the views of the huge number of Turks in the rest of the country, which is still a very rural population? That I don't know, and I suspect they do not. I don't think that nationalism lives in the heart of Istanbul. I think it lives in places like Trabzon, where the alleged murderer came from. I think it lives in other areas like Diyarbakir in the southeast of Turkey. I think that is where the problems of nationalism lie. The problems of a nationalism that might be modern in 1920, but are not modern in 2006.
So do you think Turkey is, after this assassination, really troubled? And this assassination is going to place some seeds in people's heads, being it in Istanbul or in the country itself. Will this assassination start something?
Whether it will, I don't know. It certainly should. As I say, the problem is I don't think the public opinion in Istanbul necessarily represents the rest of Turkey. But if Turkey wants to join the European Union, Turks of every age and from whatever community they come from should have to understand what the obligations of European Union membership are. We know there are already problems with European Union members who are discriminating against their own minorities, particularly the Roma, the Gypsy people. But this should not detract from the need of Turkey to face up to its own history. One of the most encouraging things in Turkey has been the growing number of academics there who've been prepared to say, yes, it was a genocide and we must talk about it. And I'm not just talking about Hrant Dink. But unfortunately, this is not a debate that is still properly tolerated in Turkey, and there's your problem.
What kind of future those few tens of thousands Armenians who are still living in Turkey are looking to? after all this? Will they be braver or the situation will be worse than before?
I don't know the answer to your question, Ingrid.
Did you know personally Hrant Dink?
No, we knew of each other, but I didn't know him. I've never met him, no. I've met quite a lot of Armenians, both in the diaspora and inside Turkey, but I didn't know him, no.
And my last question, do you think that the Turkish leadership will use this event? Elections are coming close. And will it bring any changes in the right now suspended EU-Turkey talks?
Look, the EU suspended talks are principally suspended over Turkey's relationship with Greek Cyprus, not over the Armenian genocide, even though Armenians would like to think the contrary. I don't think it'll have much effect. I don't think we're going to hear an Armenian voice in this election. I don't think we're going to hear Turkish politicians talking about the Armenian genocide.